Let me describe a pattern you might recognize. You decide to change something. It could be your body, your habits, your focus, your financial situation. The decision feels clear. The motivation is real. You start. For the first few days, maybe the first week, it works. You are consistent. You are building something. You can feel the momentum. And then something shifts. The energy drops. The consistency becomes inconsistency. The days become gaps. And eventually, quietly, without ceremony, you stop. You do not make a dramatic decision to quit. You just drift away from the commitment. And a few weeks later, you make the same decision again. And the cycle repeats. If that sounds familiar, I need you to hear this clearly. The problem is not your willpower. It is not your discipline. It is not your character. It is something much more specific. And it has a name. Most men diagnose their quitting as a motivation problem. And the solution they reach for is more motivation. Better podcasts. Better playlists. A more compelling reason why. But here is the uncomfortable truth. Motivation was never the engine. Motivation is a spark. It gets you started. It does not keep you moving. Behavioral research has consistently shown that it takes far longer than most men expect for a new behavior to become automatic. Not a few weeks. Months. And most men quit well before they ever reach the point where the behavior stops requiring effort. The men who never quit are not more motivated than you. They are not more talented or more naturally disciplined. The difference is structural. They have built a relationship with action that does not depend on feeling ready. You, right now, are still waiting for the feeling. Waiting for the clarity. Waiting for the moment when it feels right to commit fully. And that waiting, that dependence on internal readiness, is the real barrier. Not your willpower. Not your goals. The relationship you have with how you need to feel before you move. Let's go deeper. Because naming the surface behavior is not enough. Underneath the pattern of quitting is an identity mechanism. And it works like this. When you quit something, you do not just lose the goal. You reinforce a story. A quiet narrative about yourself that says this is what I do. I start and I stop. I try and I fall away. I am someone who does not finish. You may never say that out loud. You may not even consciously believe it. But your behavior knows it. And it acts accordingly. Decades of research into human psychology reveal that the difference between people who push through difficulty and those who collapse under it is rarely about talent or intelligence. It is about the story they carry about their own capacity. The men who quit believe, at some level, that their ability is fixed. That struggle is a signal they were not built for it. So when the struggle arrives, quitting feels logical. Every time you quit, the story gets a new chapter. And because identity drives behavior, because we act in ways that are consistent with who we believe ourselves to be, the story eventually becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. The real reason you keep quitting is not that you are undisciplined. It is that somewhere in your self-concept, the identity of a man who quits has taken root. And until that identity shifts, no amount of motivation will permanently change the behavior. Because you cannot sustain behavior that contradicts your identity. It does not matter how much you want the outcome. If the effort required to achieve it conflicts with who you believe yourself to be, the behavior will eventually collapse. So the question is not how do I become more motivated? The question is, how do I change the identity that keeps producing this behavior? And the answer is uncomfortable because it is simple. You change identity through evidence. Not through declarations. Not through deciding to be different. Through accumulating small, consistent, private actions that prove to your own subconscious that you are becoming someone else. Think of it this way. Every action you take is a vote for the type of person you are becoming. Not a declaration. A vote. And votes accumulate. One consistent decision does not feel like much in the moment. But 10 of them begin to build a case. And 100 of them begin to build an identity. The man who does not quit is not the man who never wants to. He is the man who, at the moment of wanting to quit, made a different choice. Once. Then again. Then again. Until the pattern shifted, and a new identity had enough evidence to exist. You are not trying to become a disciplined man overnight. You are trying to create the first piece of evidence that a disciplined man lives here. One decision. Today. That contradicts the old story. That is how the identity begins to move. Here is your step. It is not a system. It is not a hack. It is a confrontation. Identify the most recent thing you quit. The commitment you started and drifted from. And instead of starting it again, pause. Ask, what was the exact moment I started losing commitment? Not the day you stopped. The day before that. The moment when the feeling shifted and the behavior started to erode. Studies on elite military and athletic performance have found something consistent across the highest performers in the world. When the mind signals that it is done, the body still has significant capacity remaining. The quit happens mentally long before it happens physically. The barrier is almost never physical. It is psychological. It is the story the mind tells about what is possible from this point forward. Name that moment precisely. That is where the barrier lives. Not at the end of the cycle, but in the quiet middle, where the decision to drift happens before you even realize you are drifting. Once you can see the pattern at that level of precision, you can address it there. Not with more discipline. With more self-awareness. Which is the only thing discipline can actually grow from. You have quit before. So has every man who ever built something worth building. The men who reached levels worth reaching all walked away from one thing in common. The version of themselves that was comfortable with stopping. They did not find more motivation. They changed the story. They stopped being men who quit and started being men who did not. And then they lived accordingly. The difference between the man who stays stuck in the cycle and the man who eventually breaks it is not talent or willpower or circumstance. It is the moment he decided to stop diagnosing the symptom and start addressing the root. The hidden reason you keep quitting is not weakness. It is identity. And identity is not fixed. It is built, piece by piece, decision by decision, in the moments no one sees. Start building a different one. Today.